What's up, YouTube? First and foremost, shout out to all my subscribers, everybody who's been liking and dropping comments. Alien Army, raise up, stand tall, drop comments and hit the like buttons. If this is the first time watching one of my videos, I do ask you to hit a like button and hit a comment, put an alien emoji, put a thumbs up. That really does help push out my content, which I know that you're aware of. But I like to say it to go ahead and help remind you I am a small channel, so all that little bit really does help. Let's go for 100 likes and 100 comments. Still haven't hit that for a while, but if we do that, it doubles the amount of people that my video sees. This is the first time you're watching one of my videos. I am homeless. I do live in my car. I do have videos explaining how that happened, full whole story, like how I became homeless, full story. However, I'm going to jump straight into this video. This is delusional truck drivers and company drivers. I've got it written down, so I think that's what I'm going to name this video. So delusional truck drivers and company drivers. So I am homeless. I do live in my car. I am going to go back to trucking. I've been homeless for quite some time. I'm going to go back to trucking unless a miracle happens where I don't have to. I have videos of why I quit trucking before, so if you haven't seen those videos, I do recommend that you watch that maybe after watching this one, and definitely subscribe and help my my little channel shoot to the stars, because we are aliens around here. But basically, I had a lot of bad stuff that happened when I went regional and everything else. I'm going to be going back to trucking. I have been calling numbers and talking to recruiters and doing research, and that's why I want to do this particular video of delusional truck drivers and company drivers, right? Well, excuse me, delusional truck drivers and company, delusional truck drivers and companies. So I'm going to be talking about the drivers and the different companies, especially since I'm doing all this research. I'm probably going to be doing it towards the end of February. I have to do a refresher course. I don't even think I have to. I mean, some companies will hire me straight up. I haven't driven in a year. However, I think it's a good idea that I do that, and I'll be a nervous wreck if I'm in the car with somebody who only has 3 months of experience when I got years, and they're driving like snow and ice in Montana or something like that. I won't be able to sleep. I won't be, very, very useless. I mean, like I will feel useless. I will be a nervous wreck. I do not feel comfortable sleeping while somebody else is driving, or even being in, sitting in the passenger seat while somebody's driving like that. When a lot of these companies, and that's what is delusional. There's companies out there that you could become a trainer within 3 months. The recruiters have told me that. There are people that's 6 months. People have told, recruiters and requirements and company policies have shown that. There's ones where it's 9 months, it's 6 months, and when I first got into trucking, the company that I went through, you had to do a full year and you had to have at least one winter under your belt. So I don't feel I can't get in the truck with somebody driving. I could do it when it's not winter, you know what I mean? And I want to explain that real quick. That thing, commercial vehicles are a tank, right? The only way that I'm literally going to get hurt is if I'm sleeping and then the truck rolls over. If somebody rear ends us, or that, or going over a cliff, or going over a bridge or something like that, those are ways that I would get hurt in the vehicle. Everything else is going to hurt the general public, which I really care about. You know what I mean? That's why I don't break rules, and I do my best to to stay on top of it. Even though I've had dispatchers and other drivers and other companies try to persuade me to do otherwise, and it's not even persuade me. They crack down. They don't like it when a driver says the word unsafe. Every time I've ever done that, it's always been very valid. I've always had very valid concerns, and more than just a concern. It's not like, oh, what if this should happen? I would be like, no, look, what you're asking me to do is against DOT rules. You're not allowed to reverse on a service road, I believe you can't do a private road either, but I don't want to get into that. But how many times if you're a truck driver, how many times have you had to do that? I had to do it OTR, and then when I did regional and local, and it was coming home every single day, and it was driving at night, places like that did pop up a lot more often than when I was it happened more often than when I was OTR. However, and I talked about this in my last live. If I pre-plan a place and I can see that that's the only way to get in, I would talk to the dispatch and be like, hey, this is how it looks like. Let me talk to another driver who's delivered here before. That's regional and local, right? I would go ahead and do that. If they said, yeah, you have to reverse that, and it's really crazy because you got yard dogs, you got oncoming traffic and everything else. If I know that before going in, I tell them no. I go, no, dude, I'm going to be unable to deliver this load. Now, let's say, for example, I pre-planned it and it looked like it was okay from the Google Maps on the dock when I was actually pre-planning. Okay, where does this warehouse look like? Where's the dock doors at? Where's the receiver and shipper and stuff like that? Look at all that stuff and it looked cool. When I get there, I'm going to deliver it. I don't want to go, at that point, it's, like I'm 99.9% of the time I'm going to deliver because I'm right there. If I know going firsthand, no, I'm not. You know what I mean? Why do I say that, and why am I strict on that? And in my live, a couple drivers didn't even know that was a real rule. Like, they never heard of that before. There's a lot of rules that people haven't heard, but you can definitely look it up into the little green DOT handbook. However, why I don't is because while I'm reversing in there, the four-wheelers try to go around me, and especially on a busy street with oncoming traffic, they could hit me. And that's what really would happen. It wouldn't be me hitting somebody else. I'm worried at them hitting me, and if they hit me, I am still I'm doing a negligible act. I know that I'm not supposed to be doing that. Even if I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to be doing that, it's kind of common sense. Why would you reverse, and there's, you got an oncoming street and you're crossing the road just to back it all the way into this area where the dock is? You're not supposed to do that. You're not even supposed to reverse on the shoulder of any street or highway. That's in the handbook as well. So what I'm worried about that point is somebody going around me, maybe getting my blind spot, or them thinking that, like, they could zip around and then they hit me, and they wouldn't have hit me if I wasn't impeding them and breaking the rules. That's one of the first ones, and that's something that a lot of places have like, no, you can do it. No, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with breaking the rules and losing my license. And honestly, if they got hurt really, really bad, as far as I understand, it's criminal charges if you're a professional truck driver. So if you could have prevented it being fatal by not doing a move like that, like, people go to prison for car accidents with commercial vehicles, especially if it's something fatal or they get serious hurt. That's just one of the things. But I'm glad that I got that out of the way. There's a whole lot I want to talk about, so I hope you guys are rocking with me. All right, so I do have some notes right here. All right, so on that point, well, not really on that point, but the delusional truck drivers and companies, right? So that's why I'm gonna jump into the delusional part right now. When a truck company is telling you the forward-facing camera in the truck, that's mandatory if you join this one. Like, there's certain companies that they have forward-facing cameras. They tell you, it's great because we can take that footage and show that you weren't at fault. Let me tell you something. That's how they sell it to you. They're not going to say, like, most of the time, anytime you're trying to catch a liar or a thief, of course they never admit it. But when a lot of these companies, and that's exactly what they say, forward-facing cameras are a good thing, and they insult my intelligence, and they insult the intelligence of all truck drivers when they do that, because it is a blatant lie. Why they have forward-facing cameras is because it saves them money on insurance, and on top of that, it also saves them on liability. If they can prove that it's your fault for why it happened, and that it was not the company truck malfunctioning or anything like that, it's basically them making, like, showing that they're not liable. So at that point, when you get in, if you were to get in an accident, could it help you? Has it helped in the past? Yes, there's exceptions to the rule, but I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, that camera is made for to relieve themselves of liability, and how they can prove that it was your fault no matter what. Also, as well, if they do get an insurance break. So when they try to sell it to you, like, oh yeah, that's great. So some companies, and that's what makes the company delusional. One, that is a blatant ass lie like that. Number two, that you insult my intelligence. I've never seen in orientations, and I've been in several orientations, and I've also, because of the research I've been doing looking for what trucking company I want, I have been doing reviews of people on YouTube that, let's say, for example, I was interested in a company. I will YouTube what their orientation was like, what is their policies like, and I'll watch a lot of those videos. And then when I'm on there and I'm seeing it, so, like, it's a company being delusional, and then the truck driver is delusional too, because they're like, I get an extra 5 cents a week. Some of them, will get 5 cents a week extra per mile for having a forward-facing camera. That equates, if you're not a truck driver, that extra 5 cents basically equates to about $100 more a week, which is $400 a month. So it's not little, but let me tell you what can, you're spewing the same crap that the company said. So, like, I think it's a great idea because I know it's not going to be my fault, right? And here's how that works with the delusional part, right? If there was an accident and there's a forward-facing camera, and and whatnot, right? Especially if it was a bad one. There are these lawyers out there that are like Saul Goodman. Okay, they got billboards like all major highways and U.S. freeways and stuff like that. You see them all the time, especially on I-80 east and west, and they got the 90 and they got the 40. They're around. Accident happened from truck driver. Call this number. And they're everywhere. And these people are the Saul Goodmans, okay? So they can take something that's innocent and twist it and make it look something bad. So let's say, for example, you have a forward-facing camera and there was a collision and then the camera automatically turned on. Or some of them, for all we know, just because they tell you that it's not always on doesn't mean that it isn't. In fact, it's better to believe that it's always on, and so is the audio and everything else. You could be having a conversation, peaceful conversation, and it's hands-free. There's an accident. That Saul Goodman lawyer, he is going to subpoena your phone records. He's going to subpoena everything on the truck, as far as the footage from the camera. He's going to subpoena your ELD and all that stuff. And let's say that even though it wasn't your fault at all, this car did whatever, he's going to, or she, could be a guy or girl lawyer, they are going to find any way that they can to stick it to you. So they'll take an innocent thing. Well, do you think that accident could have been prevented if you weren't on that phone call, even though you're not using hand-free stuff? Or be like, you know what? Hey, that conversation looked like you were in an argument. Maybe that clouded your judgment, and maybe they'll spin it some way. And I'm not a damn lawyer, but these Saul Goodman lawyers are out there, and they take those cases and they spend that money on the billboards to really get at you. And that really comes down to the second thing. If a company was being sued, right? Companies are always going to look after themselves. That's why they have the forward-facing. A lot of them have forward-facing cameras. One, like I said, it saves them money on insurance, and number two, it separates them from liability, right? Like it's less liability if they can prove that it's your fault and not the company's. You may think, and ego and pride is a real big thing. You may think like, all right, if I get in an accident and I know it's not my fault, the company I've been running with them for X, Y, and Z years or months, or I made them a lot of money. They're still a company. They don't have to use their company lawyer to help you. They can terminate you, and then say that we have forward-facing camera footage showing that he was picking his nose, or he didn't, in that moment he didn't have his second hand all the way on that steering wheel, or he only had one hand on the steering wheel, or guess what? I saw him eating a banana and driving with one hand. They can play it and spin it off any way they want. And that does happen to people now. There are exceptions to the rules where, like I'm talking in broad strokes here, but the majority of it also is all true. And one of the things is if you know that something could happen and it makes sense on a company level, and what I mean by company level, if it makes sense business wise, because they don't care about you, and you shouldn't take that personal. Just like you don't care about them in the aspect of pay me. Like I'm here to do a job, pay me. You play with my money, I leave. You know what I mean? I don't care if they tell me, hey, you would really save my ass if you break the rules for me and drive with turn your ELD off and unplug it from the I'm not gonna tell you how to unplug everything, but basically unplug it and run hot. If they ask you to run hot and do a load, you'd be really helping them out. I'm not gonna do it. I don't care if it saves them their job or not, because I have to treat everything business-wise as well. It's not good business for myself to break the rules and risk myself for them. And just like the same thing for them, it's not good business for them. If they can let you go and not be sued for hundreds of thousands of dollars, like it's great that you made them a lot of money. Now, do they want to go ahead and end up spending that money on their lawyers or using that money and paying somebody off when they can just get rid of you? No, they just get rid of you like nothing. And do they even do it with the common courtesy and with respect, where they tell you, you know what, guess what? We can let you go, and we're up. That's really what it is. We're about that bag. I can let you go, and we're up. If we keep you around, we're in the negative. They don't tell you to your face. They don't have enough respect. What they do is they hey, go take some home time while we do all this stuff. Next thing you know, cell phone being subpoenaed. Everything on the truck. We can't let you get back in the truck until we resolve this matter. But we have our lawyers on it. Just because they tell you they have their lawyers on it and everything else, they're calculating what's best for them. And that's what the delusional part is. And unfortunately, I've had friends who had accidents, and this is exactly what's gone through with them. And before all that stuff, I put my mind into things. Like I try to that's probably why a lot of people like my perspective on here. There's nobody on YouTube ever saying the stuff I'm saying, but to me, when you get into something, it's good to know, try to learn as much as you can. And that was one of the first things I learned, was like, oh, okay, so it's business, right? So you're gonna lie to this driver, and everything always, in my opinion, always lands on the driver. So like what I mean by that is if you drive empty miles and you don't get paid for it, why am I driving these miles if that's what I get paid for? Oh, you're the driver, that's why. We're just trying to put you in a good freight area. Or you know what, it's only 200 miles here. Does the dispatcher ever dispatch somebody or work a day free or anything like that? No. But it lands on the drivers for that, for that, and it's always, that's why they've talked about, and try to utilize, I guess I want to call it like, AI driving vehicles. They can't even put a backup camera on the back of a semi. You know what I mean? I am not worried about those things ever taking our jobs. The demand is way too high. On top of all of it, all the safety features and stuff like that, AI is going to mess up a whole lot and whatnot. And they're just always trying to find a reason, because they're always wanting to turn a profit. And if they can pay a driver, like if you told a company, I'll work for 1 cent a mile, they would love it. If they could get away with paying you 1 cent a mile, if they could get away with paying you nothing and you do the work and they get paid, they're okay with it. And when people were like, oh, I got a great relationship with my dispatcher, I've had ones where I tolerate our relationship, like a friendship, or not even a friendship. They're not my friends. They're somebody that is, I'll be flat out honest, I don't respect them. I think they're useless. I think I don't like them very much. I understand that they might be a good person, let's say outside of the position or even inside the position, but what they push, and that there's always exceptions to the rules. Maybe there's some out there that really go out of the way to help their drivers. But the truth is what I've always seen is no. I've seen them run cons on new drivers, like, hey, you should I'm putting you in a good area right here. So let's say they're a lease operator. Go ahead and spend a bunch of money on your own fuel. Get over here and do this. And then I've also seen them punish drivers, and in particular, lease operators, right? And this is at a mega carrier. Lease operators from that company, when if they were, they can deny loads. A company driver at this particular mega company can't deny a load. They could deny a load if it's unsafe or something like that, but no, you can't say, I'm not going to Texas, I'm not going here. But a lease operator does have that. And this is what they learned, before they became lease operators, like, oh, you get to choose your loads, you get to stay out longer home times, you get to take your own routes to how to where to pick up from the receiver and the shipper, you know what I mean? All that good stuff. But the truth is that they will go ahead and, like, let's say you deny a load, you're going to be sitting for 3 days. They're going to say, oh, we don't have anything. That's their go-to, and it's not always the dispatcher's call at that point. It's the sales team. So at this particular mega carrier, all a dispatcher is literally a go-between sales and the driver. And sales are in my opinion, they're the ones that are just real jerks about a bunch of stuff. And some of these dispatchers, maybe they get a blackened heart from having to basically screw people over all the time. And how do they screw people over is go over here and do that. If you're a company driver, you have to do whatever they say, but it's always, if something happens, it's always the driver's fault. So many things you don't get paid for, but I do want to talk about that. So when I was with a trainer, we got a real crappy load, and I was like, come on, man, let's not take this one. And he's like, I've only ever denied a load one time, and when I did that, I had to sit for 3 days. Well, I had friends that were lease drivers, and I was like, hey, have you ever denied a load? He's like, yeah. And I was like, hey, what happens when you deny a load? He's like, man, when I did it, I had to wait 3 days before I got another load. I sat. sat not getting paid, and they have to still come up with money, or they're in the negative, for their lease payment that week, But other delusional stuff with that's a pretty big thing of it. Thinking that companies care, thinking that they want to pay you money when all they want to do is keep it themselves. Them manipulating drivers, and I've been watching these damn reviews, and they're like, it's great, I'm happy that I have if you have a camera in here and you don't get into any accidents and you've been safe all month, you get a safety bonus. Okay, they're willing to pay you, if they're paying you, let's say for example, like if it's a company saying we'll pay you 5 cents extra a week for you to have your camera, what do you think that, do you think that that's all that they save? Or do you think they're saving more? And when they're saving more, they're maybe giving you 25 or 50% of what they're saving. So in my opinion, maybe having a forward-facing camera could be if it's an extra $100 for a driver a week, maybe that company's making $200 or $250 from it, and then they're throwing a little bit towards you and keeping the rest, and that's where the scumbagness goes in there. Another scumbagness is when you get your license. So when you get your license, if you go through a mega carrier, they jump up and down saying that it's free if you work for a year. I've heard people say, I was told I only had to work 90 days, and then they went ahead and tried to hit me with owing the money when I quit. A lot of companies, and you should definitely talk to like a credit person or whatever. But I know lots of people that were in trucking school that once they got their license, one person in particular only lasted a week with their trainer and got off and never got hit with the money. And from some of the research I did, but basically what I was told is it's kind of like government grants, it is a very big industry that is lacking, and the growth of transporting freight is growing and growing, and there's supply and demand, not enough drivers. And one of the things is that if you go and get your license from that, the government actually pays the company for reimburses them. So if let's say for example, if that is 100% accurate, the government pays let's say for example the trucking company $10,000 to help facilitate you get a license. How can they put something on your credit if you actually don't owe them and they got paid for it by a company? And from my understanding, that's what credit repair people, one of their first tactics is. But you should definitely talk to one. I'm not giving you any advice towards credit or money or anything like that. But I'm just saying that I know plenty of people who never got anything on their background, on their credit report for not doing it for a whole year. Or here's a better scenario. Let's say that you had to leave that company because of unsafe reasons. How can you go ahead and argue the point that, hey, you owe me for that year, or it's going to be $10,000? Well, wait a minute. Guess what? I wasn't trained correctly. I asked for another trainer, and then the next trainer was just as bad, or hey, guess what? When I was, what you guys were telling me to do was against DOT rules. How can you stay at a company like that? Or let's say that basically, what if you didn't like the work environment and the work environment was bad, and when you would tell somebody, hey, my concern of doing this is this, and they couldn't come with a positive resolution. Or let's say that they were they maybe said a racist comment towards you or a sexist comment towards you or anything like that, and those things do happen. Something like that. Why would you work for that company for that whole year out of fear because they might put something on there? If you leave that company and you left for good reason, I don't think that would stand. But like I said, I'm not giving advice, but basically, yeah, everybody I knew that left companies early never got hit with anything. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Some companies, I'm sure, will do that, but I think you have a leg to stand on to defend that. So I'm just looking at my notes right now. Hold on a second. Yeah, okay. So here's another delusion. Is you go into a company and you have your DOT physical medical card, right? Says you're a good driver for a year or two, however long, right? So you go there and they still want you to take a DOT physical from their people, and then on top of which they want you to do an agility test. And the agility test, and I've had to do it before. Sometimes it's I've had it where it's an agility test, and there's a couple of different companies I know off the top of my head that actually make you have to do an agility test. And then there's also ones that will it's like kind of like the EA games of like them shadowing you type thing. That it's these like computerized little balls, and they put it all over your back, and then they watch you bend over and grab stuff, basically trying to find out if you have any back injuries, so that if you got a back injury later, they have a base level of what your mobility was to begin with. You understand what I'm saying? Normally those things right there, even though they're mandatory to do if you want to continue working, normally what they'll do is they'll mess with those results, make it look like your back is bad no matter what. The actual agility tests are like that saves them money on insurance. Do you get that money? Probably not. Of course not. Why would you? But that's another thing. So when they're like, yeah, that agility test, I mean, this company really, this is the delusion, and I've been seeing this and hearing this on YouTube videos. Yeah, this company really cares about their drivers. They want us healthy. They want us to be in shape. So this agility test was pretty hard when I had to lift 70 pounds over my head, and and I had to put it on a 6-foot shelf, or I had to put it on a 5-foot shelf. There are 6-foot shelves that do that. I've had to do that before. But I'm just saying, so, and they're like, yeah, I think it's a great thing. And then there's people on there like, yeah, because I couldn't put it on the shelf, and because their neck circumference was over 17 inches, that they had to get a sleep apnea test, and then the company asked them to go ahead and pay out of pocket for a sleep apnea test, which was $300. Otherwise, they weren't going to move forward with the hiring process with them. All of it is because a long time ago, sleep apnea, there was a lot of lawsuits with it. So they would love for you to actually have sleep apnea for a couple reasons. One would because now they have a sleep apnea machine on board with you, and most of the time getting that sleep apnea, it's like an $1,800 piece of equipment. Working with that company, they will give it to you at a reduced price, or it's free as long as you drive for the company. And then by having that means that once again, that they're not liable if somebody was to sue and say, well, that driver was tired, when there's actually a machine that recorded how long you were sleeping for, and you were getting proper air while you do it. So it helps with the liability, and then it also helps it helps them keep you there longer. Because when you leave that place and you wanted to go to, because most paying jobs that pay a lot more, you'll get paid a lot more money for driving or whatever, are historically not mega carriers, and they'll be smaller companies, right? And with those smaller companies, if you go in there and you only have a 3-month medical card and you have to have a sleep apnea machine, they're going to be like, no, we require at least 1 year physical to let us know that you're in good standing. And the sleep apnea stuff, no, we don't accept the drivers with that. I've actually was at a company where this person was so unhealthy and everything else that he got I want to say 2-week or 1-month card for his physical. So he had I think a 3-month card, and then he came back having to do a physical again, and they gave him a 1-month card, and they told him that he needed, he was a diabetic, he did have a sleep apnea machine, he had a bunch of stuff that was wrong with him, and he had been eating way too much candy, and they did that. And I'm like, why would you ever hire somebody whose health is 1 month? And the flip side to that is that person was a senior driver and somebody who drove there for a long time and knew the routes and everything else, and that particular person would basically, they were low on drivers. Why get rid of somebody who's making the money? They give them a shot, I guess, because of that. Me, I wouldn't have given him a shot, because I would have been like, what you need to do is be off the truck for a little bit and get healthy. But then again, I'm a caring person, and these businesses don't care like that. These companies don't care. So like I was saying, it's basically it's the delusion of hey, and it bugs me that the companies think that we would fall for something like this. Then number two, it really annoys me that there's drivers on here, and the drivers are like, that's a great idea for the forward-facing camera. It is a great idea about this agility test. It's a great idea about the sleep apnea machine. Those are all setups. It saves them money and saves them from liability. You know what I mean? And you know, like you're spreading a you know, like you're spreading their narrative, and you think that it's cool, and you think it's you know, whatever. I would like to see more. You know, they wouldn't put forward-facing cameras in here if all the drivers said, no, we're not going to do it. You know, if all the drivers said, you know, I understand you want this agility test, we're not going to do it. Where would they be then? You know, where would they be? Okay, you know, you forget just how powerful all the drivers are. And you know, part of them, what really pisses them off is knowing that and I've been in offices several times where somebody's like, you know, my CDL is like gold, bro. I got 2 years experience. I could walk out here right now and go get another job. And what really pisses them off is that's the truth. With a CDL, you can go anywhere as long as your record's clean. If your record's not clean and stuff like that, there's still places for you to go, but they're going to ask you to run hot. You know, like smaller little companies that are normally ran by Russians or people from the Middle Eastern. You know, that's what I've seen the most. I knew somebody that you know, always used to have to pre-plan you know, driving at night and getting away from way stations. I know people who did that who didn't even have a CDL. You know what I mean? And should they be on the road doing that? No, absolutely not. However, I talk about the stuff that I actually, you know, have firsthand knowledge on and what I've seen, and it kind of baffles me thinking that, you know, on YouTube, I've never came across anybody telling the truth the way like I have. The same thing about homelessness that that I've explained in videos and stuff. I don't ever see any channels of homelessness that talk about, you know, what really goes on. You know, like, yeah, there's the homeless videos of addicts that have really bad issues, but how many videos are there of what I actually see? Over 50% of us live in our vehicles and still hold a job. So when people go and say, oh, you're homeless, you just get a job. If I got a job, here's what's crazy. Let's say that I got $20 an hour for 40 hours a week doing nothing. I'd still be homeless. I cannot get into a place you know, that's affordable for that. I would still be in my vehicle no matter what. I also ruined my credit, and that's my fault. So any place that I did go to or whatever, a place that's not going to check my credit is not a place that I want to live in. And it's not like I'm being some kind of diva. I've lived in the hood my whole life. Living in those places are worse than hoods. I'm tired of my car windows being busted out. I'm tired of you know, looking over my shoulder. You know, I'm tired of paying, you know, like, you know, working, you know, one paycheck at a time, paying a place and never having anything for myself. And I understand that everybody's tired like that. You know what I mean? It's not just me, it's everybody. And I'm a very positive person. So if I know, you know, and I'm positive about it, like, I'm not going to let that, you know, take me down the drain or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and be like, okay, well, what can I do to get myself out? What can I do? You know, how can I apply myself more? You know, what are the solutions? If I know that, you know, a 20-hour, and it's not like I have offers for $20. I was just throwing that number out, you know, just to show emphasis of what I'm talking about. And that's why I've got to go back to truck driving, is because I am putting, if you know, like I said, this is one of your first times watching my videos. I do I do Uber Eats and I do DoorDash and in my car, and I live in my car, and I haven't been making, I have not been able to save anything. I've been like this for a very long time. You know, I thought I could save money. You know, I couldn't pay my rent anyways. I ran, you know, I used my credit cards. I used all the money I had, trying to, you know, all because I left trucking. Essentially, because I refuse to drive trucks from you know, having some crazy stuff happen. And I encourage you to watch that video. There is some stuff on there that I talk about that I won't talk about in this video. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. But I think I think a lot of people are delusional. I think that the companies are delusional, and some of the drivers are as well. And it always comes down to what I've always said: if we all stuck together on something, not just the drivers, like if the whole world stuck together on something, like if we all decided that we wanted homelessness to end in America, and we're all going to stand behind this and not fight with each other and not feel divided, and if we all can come together, I don't believe there's anything that we can't accomplish. You know, and the same thing about with truck drivers. If these companies that think that it's okay to have forward-facing cameras, if nobody worked there, they'd yank them out. If nobody went ahead and did the agility test, they'd stop that. You know, there's predatory leasing stuff that really traps in drivers into contracts. There's some that are good, there's some that are bad, but the predatoriness, you know, has been something big, and a lot of people have been screwed over that stuff. And you know, I can't think of any good examples off the top of my head, but you know that they're out there. You know what I'm saying? With those kind of stuff, you know, I got a little sidetracked on that, but basically a bunch of stuff that happens to drivers, and you know, it is what it is. Kind of messed up on that point. At least I admit it. I forgot where I was going with that. I mean, I got sidetracked a little bit. However, I do want to thank you for rocking with me. I ask that you subscribe. Please drop a comment. If you want to bless me and throw me a donation, my Cash App's the same as my YouTube name, AlienAscend, and I want to thank you so much.